Hi guys, I'm Matt.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is our presentation called Achievement Unlocked, Becoming Game Developers.
So before we dive into what our project is, we're just going to give you a little bit of the backstory on why we chose this specific project. So my start with video games comes from a very humble beginning. For as long as I can remember things, I can remember what video game I was playing at the time of those memories. So my entire life I've been playing video games, and they've been a really integral part of who I am, and they've been decisions of my friends that I've made throughout the years.
Yeah, and so I'm sort of like Ryan. I've sort of had a fascination with gaming since I was a kid, and it's really just grown more and more as I've aged, and I've built on that. Ryan and I became friends over playing video games because I didn't really talk to him in person, but I began talking to him just over Skype calls and then stuff like that. So that's how our friendship started. And then trying to decide what I wanted to do for a senior project, Ryan told me he had an idea where he wanted to make a video game, and I was like, that could be a great idea because I'm kind of an artistic person. I do like sort of artsy stuff. And you can do like the programming side of stuff, and then we can do these separate sides and make something awesome together. And so we took some inspiration from games we really like. Undertale here is a game, and then Hyper Light Drifter is a game that I really like that helped me out a lot. And so from that we sort of decided what we wanted to make with this. Mm-hmm. And so with these inspirations and the background that we've had, we really wanted to look at what does it really take to make a video game. Actually, before that. Before we go into that, I have to give a shout out to our awesome mentor, Liz Fiorentino. She's been really great. She's been super flexible and super helpful, teaching us about helping me with my art, and also teaching us about what it means to sort of work for yourself and make something that you're proud of, and she's been super flexible and helped us out with the project a lot, so thank you.
Alright, so diving into what we wanted when we first started the project. Basically the one sentence pitch was we wanted to make a fully fledged and challenging 2D adventure type game. And that means that we'd have all original art, an original story, original music, to come out with something in the Zelda type game, which is something that maybe a lot of you are familiar with. And then alongside making the game itself, we also wanted to explore releasing it on Steam, which, if you don't know what Steam is, it's basically the Facebook of gaming on PCs. It's a huge network where people can connect and play games together. And then besides releasing it, we also wanted to player test. So we wanted to see what worked with games, what didn't work, what did people like, what did people have problems with. And that would help us to really refine our game to create a better product. But along the way, we ran into a few challenges.
So these are some of the challenges that I personally faced. Learn how to use several different interfaces and apps on the computer. Making pixel art, I started using Adobe Illustrator, and then Adobe Illustrator didn't work, and so I had to switch. And I had dabbled a little bit in Photoshop before, but for the most part, I had to learn a lot of new techniques. And I also had to learn, in general, how to make pixel art. And so pixel art, if you don't know, it's basically just art that has a really low resolution that showed up in a lot of very early video games because they couldn't process really detailed images. And so now it's sort of used as by developers as an homage to like very early gaming eras. And so when you're making pixel art, it can be difficult because you have to make every pixel count, and you can't really draw exactly what you want. You have to sort of imply it with your pixels, what's really going on there. And other stuff like what's more difficult than making just a picture when you're making a game is you have to actually, everything that's happening, every frame has to be animated. And so if I want to make this torch right here, I can't just draw a torch and then say like, oh, and then it moves. I have to actually draw each individual frame and then put them together to make something awesome like this, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then the original goal was also to make original music for the game too. And so I had to learn FL Studio, which is a professional music producing software, which is really tough to use. It's got a lot going on here. That's what this is. And I had to learn composing and producing original music, which was really a test to me because I'm sort of a natural artist. I've been doing it since I was 5, but I'm not much of a natural musician. I've had to the instruments I know, I've had to work to be able to get to do what I can do. And so these are just some pictures of, this is what I have to do in Photoshop, making pixel art. And then once I make that, I have to compile the pictures together into a map to make that. And then Ryan has to compile them together to make a whole game. And then this is FL Studio for the music.
So moving on to some of the challenges that I faced side of things. And so with that, we developed the game in Unity, which is a very easy to use, kind of user-friendly, but also very in-depth program that allows you to compile scripts and different objects and images together to create both 3D and 2D games. And then besides Unity, I use MonoDevelop to write all my code, which helped me to debug things a lot easier than I would have otherwise. And then there's numerous other programs that we use for compiling the maps into Unity and different technical things that I had to do a lot of research on, and there was a lot of trial and error in figuring out what programs worked and didn't work. And then probably the biggest one was actually coding the game itself. If any of you have ever touched programming before, this was the longest project that I've ever done. I ended up having to write 1,822 different lines of code, which is like at least 10 times longer than anything that I've ever written.
Dang.
And they're all different moving parts, so if I change one thing somewhere, another glitch might pop up somewhere, and it was just like this really big mess at some points where I thought everything was going to fall apart and collapse, but somehow everything kind of stuck together in the end. But yeah, programming was extremely difficult. But in the end, actually, sorry, this is a picture of Unity itself. It's play area. This is what the player would see. I can inspect different elements on the screen itself. I've got an animator down here to deal with animations, and a hierarchy over here to deal with all the different components that are actually in the scene itself. But then here,
So this is the outcome of what we made, and after all this work, so what we got is we spent a portion of the semester working on creating a story, and what we found is that was actually unexpectedly one of the biggest challenges we ran into was creating a story for our game, because we found out we can't really be like creative on command. We just thought like, we'll have a game, and then we were just like, and then step 3 is we'll finish it, but then like we didn't know what it was. And so the story we came up with after several months or so, it goes something like this: is you're a messenger delivering a message from the Duke to the king, and along the way you keep getting attacked by thieves and rebels, and you don't really know why. And then eventually find out that if you deliver that message to the king, it will result in the deaths of a lot of people. And so your new mission becomes not to deliver the message, but to kill the king. And so that's the basic story of the game. And so what we came out with was, unfortunately, only about a fourth of what we wanted to finish. We ran into, like I said, a lot of problems with like writer's block coming up with the story. It was a lot more work than we expected because, like Ryan said, is you write something and then it messes up something else, and something goes wrong. You have to go back and spend a lot of time fixing it, and so it takes a lot more time than we thought to make a full game. Like it takes whole studios years to come up with something like this, and so we're a little bit over our heads. But what we are happy about is that what we do have is really fun and it works really well, and so we're proud of that. All the art is original and looks really good in my opinion. All the code is original. Ryan did it all himself, and that's really great. You know, the levels, items, so on and so on, we did that ourselves. And sadly, we decided to not do music because I ran into some issues composing the music, not really knowing how to work the software, and I came up with some stuff and it was sort of all right, but I figured I didn't really want to put it in the game unless it was, you know, like high quality, so we just decided to omit that. And so next is...
We have a little demo video of the game itself.
Go.
These are just the first few levels, and we'll talk through what's really going on.
Oh, I'm excited.
Alright, so right when it loads in here, if it ever loads, we will...
Oh no.
I need to go
Is it
fast.
connected to Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Just load.
Yes.
There we go.
Alright, so that's the menu screen. You load in, you can see this is where you begin. You look around, got some nice items in the room. You can go out here, go back in, see what's in the chest. Oh, you found a health potion in the chest.
Your
That's gonna
health
help you a
potions are
lot.
displayed
Yeah.
up in the top right.
So you can see your health bar on the top there and the health potions that you have. And then,
Whoa.
oh, there's some rats in this room. You gotta kill those.
This is so sick. Pretty cool.
So we found a key in the chest, so that's probably going to unlock one of these doors out in the hallway.
Maybe.
Maybe.
No, that one's still locked. Okay, it's, yeah.
So this is our first kind of
So
dungeon
there's some
room.
skeletons there.
This is so sick.
You have to. The enemies are. We made the enemies pretty hard, so it took many tries to record this because we kept dying. So we had to be pretty strategic in how we played the game through.
But we wanted to make it hard on purpose because you know, some of the best games we've played are hard, and it's sort of
Oh.
tribute to, you know, having an actually like rewarding experience when you finish something. So that's why it's so hard. And then here I'm on one hit and I'm trying not to get hit by this skeleton, and so I'm just chasing him around the barrel.
Yes, we got it. So now we move on to
This is my favorite room in the game.
the throne room. This is kind of like the king's main hallway with these huge statues, which I love. But we come up here, and you have the king. So
He's
let's
got
talk
something
to
to
him.
say for you.
Stefan, my dear boy, I have been waiting for you. I have a message for you to deliver to the king. It is of utmost importance that you keep this message secret and safe.
It's a Lord of the Rings reference.
Now, Stefan, the messenger, I bid thee farewell. And tell the king that the Duke of Koth sends his regards.
Yeah, and so
So now would be the point where we would go off and adventure into the next few levels of the game to deliver the message. Just walking around showing off the statues a bit more.
when I'm playing, I like to just, Ryan thinks it's weird, but I load up the game and I just walk around in circles because I like looking at the walking animation. It took me a long time.
So we have another chest here with a health potion and a key, and we come out through that door. But there's one last door that we didn't really enter. And game developers love to put Easter eggs in their game, and this is a little homage
So
to...
it says, you see a small engraved metal plate on the bottom of the armor stand, and it reads the armor of Knight Richard. And the next one, let's see what this one is. Another small engraved metal plate near the bottom of the armor stand, and it reads the armor of Knight Andrew. So that's a shout out to our awesome senior project teachers,
Hey.
Reboff and Andrew Downey, who've been really helpful to us throughout the semester. And now we're just back where we started.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Yay!
We have one more slide. So, experience in making this game. We really learned to celebrate small victories with the project. Every time we got an animation to work, or we finished the room, we'd always jump out of our chairs and like shout and do a fist bump. And it was just, there were so many small victories that we really had to appreciate things, or else we probably wouldn't have gone through the project.
something that you don't think about a lot is just like someone walking. Took me like hours to make that actually work. So the next is like, playing through something, a game, or it could be just reading a book or watching a nice movie. Just appreciate all the work that went into that, making something that you can enjoy, because this has helped us to learn what that's like. And then one for me is I found out that I really love making pixel art like this. I think it looks really cool, and I'm probably going to do a lot more of that in the future.
And then finally, just some few thoughts. Programming long projects is a lot more difficult than I initially thought. There's so many moving components you have to keep track of that it's just extremely difficult to wrap your mind around. And game development in general is really difficult, but at the same time it's such a rewarding activity that it's hard not to love it. And then finally, you always have to be thankful for communicating.
Ryan was really great on this. I was really happy to have someone so awesome who just like fit me, and we sort of just like knew what the other was thinking before we even did it, and we just worked together really well. So that made this project.
There you go. There we go.
Questions, anyone?
I got one.
Yep.
Ryan, did you program in C# before? It's not an easy language to get started in.
Definitely not. Luckily though, I have a lot of experience in Java, which is pretty much, as I got into C#, it's like pretty much the exact same syntax as Java. And so translating to C# wasn't too difficult. The only real problem I had was learning the flow of the program, and how things process is way different than it is in Java. And learning the whole minor differences between the two languages was pretty interesting. Gave me a lot of experience.
Ben?
What's your process for making the pixel art? Like, do you start sketches or do you just go right in?
For this one, I sort of, wanted to make sort of like a nostalgic feeling piece about like what it's like to like be a kid and just like sit around and play video games all day. And so I made Ryan pose for me, and I took a picture, and then I just underlaid. Just like, like being an artist, I just have an idea in my head of, I want this to look that way, and then I just draw it out. Or stuff like animations, I kind of just like look at them next to each other, or look at other games to see how they did theirs. But yeah.
Hardest bug.
Hardest bug. Well, I'll give you an interesting bug. Right before one of our presentations, I totally forget what I was doing, but I ended up breaking our entire game. Like, it would not start up at all. And this was about 3 minutes before we had to present, so I had a really quick struggle and internal battle with how to fix things. And it turns out I had just duplicated a few files on accident, but that one was probably the scariest bug we had. Yeah.
So first, it was excellent. Thank you so much, and we're honored to be the audience. One question first. What do you think the qualities that to make a successful game developer through this project? I think before probably you don't know quite sure, and then after this, what do you think must-have qualities in game developing?
I think the thing about making games is like it takes a lot of different things. So you gotta have creativity, also passion, which is something we definitely have, and diligence and perseverance. If you run into a bug, it may suck, but you gotta fix it. And hard work. It was definitely like a lot of grinding at some points. Like that's sort of what programmers do. And yeah, I guess.
So it's not easy.
No.
You also have to have really good planning skills, because things you start at the beginning of the project have a very big impact on the end of the project as well. Like the first thing you build is going to have such a big impact on how you build the rest of the game. So making sure that you plan everything out from the beginning is really important when you're making a game.
So Ryan, I think I just have one comment. I think you demonstrate very strong problem-solving skills. For everything what comes, you have to solve it, either redo it or fix a way to think of how we could get better or solve the bugs or whatever. I mean, most of the teachers are probably not gamers. Maybe they are, I don't know. So, but we all know people playing games, but I mean, the lessons I learned here is like, playing game is very strategical, and also designing a game is just amazing. It requires so much work and time and creativity, and you design it from writing stories to music to drawing to, it's just a whole complex of a huge amount of complex skills, like stuff. So I think you demonstrate exactly what Priory are looking for our graduate students. Like all the LCs, I don't know, it's not here, but I think like 5 LCs, critical thinking, creativity and resilience, is wonderful. This is like the example of great qualities that we're looking at for our seniors. So thank you very much.
Love you.